Hey guys, welcome back to the Double Outlook. Hopefully today my mic will actually be working and you guys are able to hear me clearly. Today we'll be reacting to something that I don't think we actually would have predicted. The Republicans are actually siding with Kamala Harris, and a decent amount of the Democrats, mostly progressives, are actually um, showing a lot of animosity towards her. So let's jump right into it.
Yes, sir. Okay, guys, so we're gonna start the video right in the middle because this is where a lot of the controversy starts to happen. So here we go.
And we want to make sure that this is about transnational crime, and we have to follow the money, and we have to stop it. And that's what we intend to do. I can tell you from my work on this issue years ago, follow the money. The underlying reason for so much of what we are seeing in terms of this level and type of corruption is about profit. It is about profit without concern for the damage it creates to real human life, to families, to children, to communities. And I want to emphasize that the goal of our work is to help Guatemalans find hope at home. At the same time, I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come.
And there it
Do
is.
not come.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually didn't see this coming. I think it's funny because I think you're part of the Republicans who say this, but you think that like Kamala Harris is pretty radical, don't you?
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think Trump's whole entire campaign was like, oh, he wasn't even attacking Biden. He was attacking Harris. He's like, oh, Harris is going to have an open border. She's going to defund the police. It's crazy how honestly there's starting to be three political parties. There's Republican, Democrat, and Socialist. Even though obviously Socialists still consider themselves Democrats because
Yeah.
they're not enough of a majority to be able to compete with Republicans. So you agree with her statement, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. People shouldn't be risking their lives, risking their children's lives just to come across the border. Honestly, I know how it feels. I know how long it takes to get legalization, but I feel like it's not worth children getting abused, raped on their way over here, and maybe like taken away, because that is a very dangerous thing to do.
It's a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah, and knowing that some people are okay with that and letting their children just go by themselves and just have a better life, but also like taking that risk of them getting like trafficked on the way,
Yeah.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As for having an open border, I think you obviously don't agree with having an open border, and
No,
actually, if I'm being completely honest, I don't agree with having an open border.
most people
But
wouldn't.
I do think that well, I think most of the progressives in my party do, but I still think that we should be helping the refugees out. And I know she's saying like we are doing that as Americans, but I mean, America was, or the America that we know today, the United States of America, was built off of um, Europeans, specifically British, right, running away from
Yeah,
their hometown
by
and wanting
discovering.
like, yeah, and wanting to have freedom and get away from their um, previous lives that they thought were just cruel. And I think the Guatemalans actually have it worse than the
Oh
British
yeah,
do. So,
it's terrible right now over there.
so should the Guatemalans be allowed to immigrate to America
Like yeah, they
legally?
like they obviously should, but like that's not the reason why Republicans don't always. That's why they don't agree with that. It's because there are many other people. As we are talking about abortions, there's always gonna be the good people and there's always gonna be the bad people. So thing about here is that there's gonna be people that bring in drugs, people that sex traffic, people that are just terrible people in general, like criminals. They're gonna be crossing the borders just because they see this as an opportunity for them to get across and make money maybe off it. And but there's always going to be the good people that just want to have a better life because they're in terrible condition where they're at right now. And I feel like, yeah, we should definitely help, but having an open border and what Kamala Harris saying right there is do not come. Honestly, those are words that should be taken into consideration, knowing the
Risk
damage that
factor.
could be done. Yeah, if they do come, they're taking big risk, and it's very scary, honestly.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration.
And this is real fast and all, but this is like almost the whole side of why Trump was elected and why no one liked him was because he didn't want illegal immigrants to be coming in to America.
Yeah.
And Kamala Harris is probably against Trump, right?
Yeah,
So
of
this is
course. I
like
mean, her whole entire campaign was about beating Donald Trump.
this is almost like double standards going on right now.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. As a Republican, um, what do you think about Kamala Harris doing this? Are you mad at her because it seems like she's playing with politics by like having this message when becoming vice president, but then now that she's in the position, is doing exactly what she said that she disliked, which is what you
There's
support. So, do you think that that's bad of her, or are you okay with that? Because,
I'm okay
um,
with what she's saying, but the fact that she's been against it and she people have like tried there's probably stuff we don't know about. There's probably so much stuff that we do not know about immigration since we're not in office. And that's probably why she's probably changing her mind about how things work. She's probably seeing stuff differently. But also I don't like how she was against that she was against Trump at first and trying to like ruin his campaign almost. And
he
then
sort of used it as a political
she
weapon, huh,
yeah, as a political
to get
weapon, and then just
immigrant
to get
support.
yeah, and then this happens. So she's playing like a double standards role, which is kind of weird.
Yeah,
And what
I
do you think
agree.
about it?
Well, I think that I don't know to be my opinion on immigration is a little weird. I feel like having an open border is more um, using your heart, and having a closed border is more using your head. Uh, I mean,
That actually really
obviously,
true.
unless you're indigenous, right? Unless you're a Native American, which is like such a small percentage of our population now, but unless you were born here, I think Biden actually said this himself. He said, unless you're a Native American, you came from somewhere else. So, do you know what ethos, logos, and pathos is?
Yeah,
So, ethically speaking, and just logically speaking, from the heart, it makes sense that we have an open border, right? To because if we didn't get to come over um, during our bad times, then imagine how much worse off the world would be. Because America has just done so much for the world in general. Like we like to talk bad about it, how so much has gone to hell, because that is true. But the fact of the matter is, we are an empire, and our empire has done so much to help the world, done so much to help climate change. Uh, so there's that argument. But then, uh, logically, with your brain, it's like, okay, but the immigrants, like if they're illegal, I don't think you can say that they're not criminals, because if they're coming illegally, then they're already committing a crime, right?
yeah.
And let's say that's the only crime they commit, because I think most of the time, most illegal immigrants are good people.
Oh yeah,
I think in
there's
general
definitely
people are good
more
people.
good than bad.
But I would say that I feel like, first of all, I think the best option is to just make it easier to be an American citizen, because then they can finally pay their taxes, right? If they're
That's
coming here
true.
illegally, they're not even contributing. They're taking the advantages of the hardworking Americans while not contributing to their cities and the government.
Yeah, that's also another reason why people don't like illegal immigrants, just because of like the percentages and the taxes and welfare.
Yeah. Uh, and in Guatemala, bad things are happening, right? And just a few minutes ago, or at the beginning of our video, you mentioned that you know that it might take a while to get a legalized um, green card or something. I'm sorry, I'm not an immigrant, or I'm not an immigrant anymore. I'm an American citizen now, so I'm not sure what the green card and all that is, but it does take a while, right?
Yeah.
So, so what do you think the Guatemalans should do? Let's say they're not receiving any help.
If it's that bad in Guatemala, how people say it is, I seen people like having a good time, but I also know like how devastated. I know someone that lives there right now, and it's terrible. Like they don't like it at all. Um, Honestly, if it's that bad, I would just say go for it. Like I know I'm like against that, but if you're not getting the support you need, then it's better do that than stay in a third world country that's terrible and doesn't take good care of you. Like I don't know how it is over there. I don't know if it's terrible. From what I heard though, people just don't have good experiences over there. They're not getting treated correctly. So
So you're saying
I
that
feel like
they should illegally immigrate to America.
if they're in good condition and you're just doing it to legalize, I'd give it some time to wait, see if you can get processed. But I feel like coming in legally should only happen if you're in dying need, which also is you having a heart about it and not just
Well,
using your brain.
dying needs, but I mean, there's still like, I mean, in Mexico, have you heard the story? I'm pretty sure it's true. I'm not positive. My apologies if the story I'm pretty sure it's true. Supposedly, a woman was raped and then went to a police department to tell them, and then they at the police department raped her. Do
What?
you think that that's bad? Like, if the Mexican
Oh
government
yeah,
isn't helping with that,
that's
and
terrible.
and the American government doesn't have jurisdiction to provide assistance to her, then do you think it's okay for her to
Oh
illegally
yeah,
immigrate to America?
definitely. Those are just needs that are like humanized, right? Like that's just awful to happen to someone. I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone.
So, so you do think that she should immigrate in that sense?
Yeah.
So don't you think it should be easier
Oh yeah,
to immigrate than it is right
it
now?
should be way easier.
Oh,
But
so you do think it should be easier,
yeah, it should definitely should be easier. That's just
but
the
it shouldn't be
logical.
open.
But it no, it definitely should not be open because that's when people are gonna start taking advantage of the system, and that's gonna lead to way more problems. It's gonna lead to crime rate going up, and it's just not gonna be good for the people who actually need it.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Um, Kamala Harris said that I think an argument that I've been hearing is that Kamala Harris said that it'd be better for Guatemala in general if America assisted them instead of them retreating to America because there has to be someone there to help rebuild it, right? There has to be good people there. If they're retreating and don't want to be a part of the crisis that's going on there, then they probably are good people and probably don't or and probably would and the less good people in Guatemala, the worse their situation will get. So do you think that they should stay because they have the power to make their Guatemala better, or do you think that uh, what do you think we should do with Guatemala then? Like, what do you think is the best option?
I mean, definitely work together more. Like, it's just kind of tough because if we should have done this a long time ago, if we could have, but there are probably reasons that I don't know why that hasn't gone better over there. It's just the current president, I'm pretty sure.
Well, so what does America do? Because I mean, in a sense, the best thing for America to do is to have an open border, right? Because then when they come in legally, they actually pay their taxes. It's better for them to come in legally than for them to come in illegally. It's better for everybody. That they're more safe. They're not risking their kids getting raped and all that, whatever you said. And the government gets more taxes. Which, by the way, I read somewhere that America is the population is starting to go down. Less people are starting to have kids because of birth control and
But as good as
uh,
it sounds,
education.
the more good, the more bad, you know? So
I don't follow.
there's always gonna be bad. Even if you have open borders, there's still gonna be bad people coming in. Even if you have closed borders, there's still gonna be bad coming in. But having an open border is just gonna cause more the more good. I don't know, more bad than there is good. Because there's gonna be people that take advantage of that.
Well, how long do you think it should take to be able to immigrate? So open border, for me, an
I
open
don't even know
border,
that much about open borders.
well, it's not necessarily like a public park where you can just like there's nothing blocking. You still have to like become an American citizen if you're immigrating. But you know what? I can like if it had to if you like Republicans really don't want to have an open border, I could actually get behind that because I think logically it is better. But I still feel bad because like you know Japanese, Chinese, Korean, there's a lot of shit that goes down in Asia, right? And imagine if we're like America would just tell them, nope, sorry, you can't come here, which they have done, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Or even worse, the immigrants that are already here, like I think it's the Japanese when America was in World War II, they put them in concentration camps.
yeah, that sucked.
And if it takes a long time to if it takes a long time to immigrate, then and what you're saying is that you do think that they should illegally immigrate, then isn't that worse?
I mean, that's the thing.
Isn't it worse if they're illegally immigrating because they don't pay the taxes and they're committing a crime right there, right then and there?
If you really look at it, there's gonna be less people that are coming here if that for a reason than there is people that are coming here just to come in here anyways. So I'm pretty sure there's people that come here just coming here for right now. And it probably is worse, so we can both agree that there's problems with the immigration system. But
100%.
we both agree that having too closed of a border is gonna cause still we still need people to come in here legalization, and open borders are still gonna cause it's a weird situation because right where we are now, you can't there's I don't know how to explain it in these words, but how we are now, you can't ask for too much, and you have to be right in the middle. And I feel like right now with the immigration system, we're right in the middle. And if we fall more to one side, then it's gonna cause more problems than there is now.
I think it should be slightly easier. I think.
Because there was definitely less problems when in the Trump administration near the end of his term for the border crisis. Because as soon as Joe Biden became president,
No,
it was all over the news though. There
that's
was
not true. The reason it was all over the news was because Biden criticized Trump over it. Like he said like, "Oh, you're putting them in cages," and then the Biden administration said they were putting them in like camps and stuff. But it's just the
it's the
same
same
thing.
thing.
That they were both equally as bad for the immigration crisis, at least. Um, but like, I mean, how do you even like background check? You know, how do you background check people from different countries? How do you how do you make sure that only good people will come in? Because if
Oh yeah,
we're only allowing
it's
good people
definitely
to come in,
impossible.
then
It's definitely impossible to do that. But there's always gonna be bad people that are coming in illegally. There's always gonna be a way to get in
yeah,
without
but
permission.
there's always gonna be bad people come in, and there's gonna be bad people that spawn in from just growing up in America. I mean, we have
Oh yeah,
our
we have
fair
our
share
problems.
of problems that cause, real life villains. But I mean, our overall consensus is that
We both agree
we
that.
don't need, we don't think an open border would be good for the country, but it should be easier for refugees and for anyone who's struggling.
To get in. Okay, and we're gonna continue the video.
Priorities will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back. So let's discourage.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that was kind of harsh.
That was really dark.
Yeah. Okay, we can do
And
one.
even you, as a Republican who supported Trump and his wall, uh, think that if your life is in danger, that you should at least have the chance to immigrate to a better place. Which, I mean, America. That's what America is, and um, that's why America is so successful because it is kind of like a haven
It's
for.
like an accepting country.
Yeah, it's a haven. But that's why I think having a wall kind of defeats that,
It
if that
gave
makes
off a
sense.
bad message, but it was for
It was
safety.
to stop illegals. It was to stop like everybody, like because like before anybody could come in. I could support that. But I also think that like we spent more money on the wall than was worth it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like a
Yeah,
lot of
that
money was
does.
invested
Yeah,
for,
yeah, it definitely was a lot of money.
yeah.
Okay, we can do one.
Our friends, our neighbors, our family members from embarking on what is otherwise an extremely dangerous journey, where in large part the only people who benefit are coyotes. And let us do our work together, Mr. President, again with our mutual commitment of knowing that hope is on the way. And I believe the actions we take together will improve the lives of Guatemalans. And as I meet with Guatemalan community members and leaders throughout this day, I will speak with them on what more can be done. Again, Mr. President, I want to thank you.
So, this isn't really much of a debate, but what do you think the president is thinking with her saying this? He probably supports it, huh? He doesn't want to lose part of his population.
I mean, honestly, the Guatemalan president knows what he's doing. He knows that his country's failing. And that can't just speak from the country itself. That has to be from his ruling, you know? Kamala Harris, I feel like, is acting too nice to the president of Guatemala because he would have done something by now. He can make his country way better if he really wanted to, but
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's other crises besides there's plenty of crises that the government can control. But yeah, I think I don't know, this is another situation where it's like it's really there's no right side, if I'm being completely honest. I think it in the end it really is up to, do you want to follow your heart and follow your brain? And some people say, oh well, it makes more sense to follow your heart and like day things where you're just trying to use your moral compass. But when trying to lead an actual country, you should be making strategical decisions that will help your country economically and keep the safety under control.
yeah. Continue the video.
You for such a productive conversation, for your role of leadership, and for the work we
Actually,
have
I
yet
think
to
we
do
can end it
together.
here. I
Thank you.
think that's all.
I said, yeah. So that was the end of the video, and as we can see, from a Democrat and Republican, Kamala Harris has a little bit of double standards there, and how fast her own party can switch against her.
I don't know if we're going to go against her, but yeah, we definitely. Some of us were okay with it. I was actually okay with it, if I'm being completely honest. But there's a lot of progressives that got very angry about that.
Oh yeah. So that's the end of the video, guys, and
Peace.
make sure to. Oh no, Theo. So guys, make sure to go follow our Instagram, Double Outlook, and make sure to go follow our TikTok too. And that has been the Double Outlook. Peace.
Peace.